you would. So welcome everyone. This presentation is going to review some information that I hope will be helpful as you prepare a proposal for the call for participation to the 2025 Imagining America National Gathering. We are so thrilled to be able to host this event with New Mexico State University in beautiful Las Cruces, New Mexico, from October 3rd to the 5th of this year. This image is a beautiful painting by Citlali Delgado, who is an NMSU graduate, a artist in the Paso del Norte region, and we've asked for her permission to use this painting, Destino Manifesto, to help capture the spirit of the event. The title of the gathering is Providing Passage, Practicing the Worlds We Want, and I'll share more about that theme in the presentation today. So the 2025 Imagining America National Gathering is coordinated in partnership with New Mexico State University, including a local steering committee that represents actually the whole Paso del Norte region. So that would include colleagues in Ciudad Juarez, colleagues at El Paso, at University of Texas, El Paso, colleagues at Doña Ana Community College, as well as students, staff, and community members in Las Cruces. The website iagathering.org will be a tremendous help as we continue to share out information about the gathering. It's on that webpage where you'll be able to view the full call for proposals. You'll get updates on travel and hotel information as we confirm it. We'll post those updates there. This is also where you'll find the link to the online form that will allow you to submit the proposal when you're ready to share. So please be sure to bookmark iagathering.org. I'm just going to check in the chat here. Thank you for posting those, Erin. So for those of you who are maybe new to Imagining America and our national gathering, and I already see some names of some longtime friends and colleagues in IA, so this is no news for you, but Imagining America, Artists and Scholars in Public Life is a network that brings together scholars, artists, designers, humanists, and organizers to imagine, study, and enact a more just and liberatory America and world. You can read more about our mission statement here, but we're a national consortium of higher education institutions, cultural organizing partners, and really a community across the country who believes in public scholarship, cultural organizing, and campus change that inspires collective imagination, knowledge making, and civic action on pressing public issues. And the national gathering is really our kind of gold star annual convening moment where we all come together, we learn from one another, we share ideas and resources, and we really connect deeply and in an immersive way so that we can strategize really for the future ahead. This year, the theme is called Providing Passage, Practicing the Worlds We Want. We're inviting participants to reflect on all the ways that we provide passage for one another, how we create havens for safety, and how we practice connected ways of being together that help to fortify us for the journey ahead. We especially welcome attention to how art making, creative culture, performance, storytelling, and testimonios provide passage for mutual understanding and collective liberation, making it possible for us to move towards the seemingly impossible together. Proposals for this call will be due Monday, June 30th, 2025. And I'll continue to note that iagathering.org is the place to find the proposal submission form, as well as the extended call for participation that has more details about how to prepare your proposal. The idea for providing passage is inspired in part from ecological management and work, where providing passage is a way to create infrastructure for beings that need to travel upstream or move through dangerous river crossings towards safety. And it's a way to help ensure long-term community resilience for different kinds of creatures and beings. And we were inspired to think about how we can provide passage for each other, both literally and metaphorically, in these times of what feels like dangerous river crossings for so many of us. And it was inspired by thinking about how historically and moving into the future, in times of uncertainty and repression, there have always been and will continue to be creative and courageous people who work collectively, often at great risk to themselves, to help provide passage at these dangerous crossings towards havens of safety and belonging. And we were really inspired by that work and by what we might do together. And we want to hear from our network about some of the most, inspiring and most creative ideas that we might have in how we do this. This is shared in more detail on the website, but I wanted to just also note that there's also an invitation here to reflect on those tensions between safe passage and forced passage, between passages of birth and death, to consider what we must disavow and leave behind so that we don't reproduce troubled pasts and presents. And acknowledging that this work of providing passage for one another is not easy and none of it is guaranteed. The havens we create sometimes only provide temporary refuge, and the belonging we make together is often determined by othering. And the movements that we support and uplift seldom see the full realization of the worlds that they help bring into being. And yet, a proliferation of creative, caring passages is necessary in envisioning and making a different world. And in a time when US culture is strikingly marked by an isolationist fear of others, consumerist individualism, and social estrangement, we must engage in what Kelly Hayes and Mariam Kaba call the ongoing work of charting and experiencing reality together and sharing our joy and our grief over the wonders and tragedies of our time. This work will be happening in the incredible Paso del Norte region. And we're taking inspiration from the Bailamur, Rio Bravo, Rio Grande watershed. And those are all the different names for that big river of the different communities that it intersects. It flows from the San Juan Mountains in Colorado through New Mexico and along the Texas-Mexico border and serves as a lifeline for millions. It's a riverine passage that both connects and separates this vast and vibrant region, which is a kind of geographic and cultural area that includes the cities of Las Cruces, New Mexico, El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez in Chihuahua, Mexico. The region forms as well a binational borderplex through which thousands of people move daily north to support their families and communities, effectively generate billions of dollars from their labor, but also move south to visit loved ones and enjoy the interior of Mexico. The Paso del Norte is a permeable borderland whose meaning is made and remade daily by the transits and passages of people and animals. Another special occasion this year is that we're celebrating Imagining America's 25th anniversary. We're using the theme of passages to also celebrate all of the times, text, pathways, and portals that Imagining America has created for public and engaged scholars, as well as the life-sustaining ecological, physical, intellectual, and spiritual passages that the artists, organizers, and scholars within the IA network provide as a way forward for us all in these turbulent times. This gathering will feature an IA curated track that showcases timely work from our network and also invites in a kind of deliberative space so that we can creatively dialogue, reflect, and ultimately strategize around how we survive, thrive, and resist in these times. The call for participation has a full list of questions that we invite people to reflect on as they prepare their proposal. These questions, they don't need to be answered directly, and certainly we invite all kinds of proposals that reflect on the theme. But we hope that these sets of questions might help orient your ideas as you go to prepare a proposal. So I can leave these for you all to read, but know that they are questions that ask you to think about the role of artists, organizers, and students, to think about the work of providing passage for one another, and also to consider the realities that people living in borderlands might face, and to help unsettle or think intersectionally about the role of borders and passages in our world today. There are also a set of questions that invite us to think about the work of providing passage in the past, in the present, to think of passages as like textual passages, but also as literal and metaphorical places, as well as the role of the university in the work that we do together and what limitations the university might face in these times. Ultimately, these questions really are building toward the final one, which is what will it take for us to build the worlds we want and to survive and even thrive in these times together? The next thing I'm going to share is a little more practical information about how one would prepare a proposal and submit to the gathering. So this direction will be a little more specific. When preparing your submission, we invite you to propose an interactive session, and we kind of are offering a few formats that you might choose from. The first formats are really geared around wanting to share a presentation about your research or your practice or your artistic work. And we're offering two options within this area, really about timing. So you may want to do a 5-minute version or a 15-minute version. I'll talk more about both of these in more detail. But just to say that these formats invite you to share more about your research, your practice, or your artistic work. The next set of formats invite you to lead an interactive discussion, a workshop, or share a media or performance screening in a space that we have available this year. So these are 60-minute sessions and, as I'll mention, are deeply interactive and allow for co-facilitation of interactive workshops, basically. And the last kind of invitation is, well, do something different. None of the above, right? We're inviting in people who might want to do something that doesn't really fit into a research type presentation or artistic sharing or a 60-minute facilitated workshop, for example. And we've captured these under the format of creative works. Just a note that if any of these formats, the IA gathering will take place and be scheduled from Friday, October 3rd through Sunday, October 5th. And if your proposal is accepted, please be prepared to present on any of those 3 days. I'm going to go into more detail on each of those formats. So the first one, which is a lightning talk, it's a brief presentation where a single speaker can share about current or past work, maybe share a creative output, a piece of media, an artistic practice, or a community project. 6 of these talks will be scheduled in each 60-minute session, so the presenters will each have 5 minutes to share, but also an opportunity to discuss as a group after or integrate shared concepts into a discussion. Everyone is welcomed. I mean, across the gathering, everyone is welcomed, but this format in particular is encouraging people who may be new to sharing their work. We really invite people to share whatever they have to offer as it relates to the gathering theme. I always imagine that this might be maybe a more traditional kind of PowerPoint slide presentation, or I would love if someone was like, I just want to share a song, or I want to lead us all in a collective breath together, or I want to show you some beautiful collective art making project that I've been working on for the past year. So please know that people can use a visual guide if you like, but it's not required. And we want for these to be really interactive and inviting spaces for everyone to feel like they can share on the gathering theme. The next format is our projects and practices presentation. So these are a little longer in length, 15 minutes, where we're inviting groups or individuals that want to share with a little more depth about outcomes or lessons learned, or maybe a method or a collective change that emerged from a community-based project. and in IA fashion, where that centered the arts, performance, designs, cultural organizing, and or humanities practices. We invite for this format everyone to pre-select 2 themes from the 7 provided so that we can make sure that when you get scheduled together that there is a shared content overlap. And those pre-selected themes are creative community arts, public engaged scholarship, cultural organizing, institutional culture change, practices of providing passage, and borderlands. In each of these 60-minute sessions, which will be organized by these pre-selected themes, 3 groups each have 15 minutes to present, and the remaining time, again, will be allowed for shared discussion. So for our longer format options, we have a participatory workshop. And these are really the kind of hallmark of IA gatherings, I'd say. These are 60-minute sessions where facilitators set an agenda and organize specific activities over that time. The session could focus on a specific skill development or an artistic or creative group practice. It could be a participatory performance or movement or a guided collective activity. This is also the space where if you wanted to facilitate an interactive dialogue around a pressing issue or action, we invite you to use this format. A note that we select workshops that are highly interactive and collaborative, and ideally provide opportunities for the group to co-create something together. This year, we have access to a really lovely auditorium venue space. And so we're inviting in people who might want to share a performance or media screening that is related to the IA National Gathering theme. These will also be 60-minute sessions that will be programmed into this auditorium venue, which is pictured below. And presenters will have access to a projector, screen, audio, microphone setup. Just to note that we won't have the capacity to provide more complex technical production support, or we can't guarantee advanced rehearsal space. So if this is maybe a less technically complex performance, or as I mentioned, a screening of any work, this would be a great venue and format for you to use. And finally, the creative works format. This is an invitation for creative or alternative proposals for visual or material work or a kind of collective activity that is ongoing and wouldn't be limited to a single session. These creative works will be set up in a shared space in the IA registration hub, and it may include self-directed instructions if you want participants to engage on their own, or we very much welcome those sessions to be staffed if you wanted to stay with your work and guide people through an experience. If selected for inclusion, IA staff would reach out and we would more individually work with you to make sure we understood your specific setup needs. A note that this will be in a kind of shared area. So if there's a sensitivity to sound, to noise, or lighting, we may not be able to accommodate all of that. But the idea was that we wanted to create a very vibrant hub for a lot of activities where people felt like they could engage in a range of creative work. And for example, this might be a tabletop exhibition of some artwork that you want to share. It could also be a collective quilt or zine or art making project that is carried on over the 3 days of the gathering. It might be directions for a game or a scavenger hunt or something creative that allows people to engage more deeply in this space. Or there might be prompts toward conversation and collaboration in which you can share some creative format that gets people to engage more deeply with one another. So there's lots of ideas here, and know that IA staff can be a resource to help you if selected. So now the very practical hows to submit your proposal. A reminder again that Monday, June 30th is the deadline to submit your proposal to the gathering. No matter what format you choose, you will need to share the 5 items listed here. You'll need to list the organizer's information, which would be, your name, your email address, and your affiliation, but also any co-presenters that you have. We ask you to share their information as well. You'll need to select one of the formats, provide a title, a brief description, and a brief mention of how this session would contribute to Imagining America or to our national gathering theme. A link to submit that, the proposal link can be found on the iagathering.org website. There's a button as well as a section that says how to submit your proposal. The exception here is that if you're selecting the participatory workshop format, we'll also ask you to share something about the goals that you have for the workshop. So just to review more specifically, the organizer information will ask for name, email, and affiliation. The format will ask you to select from the ones that I just described. You'd have to pick whether it was a lightning talk, a projects in practice, a workshop, a media screening, or a creative work. You'll need to provide a title. And then you'll need to provide a description of the activities or what you'll be sharing out in the session. This is where you might provide context for what you do or what you'll share, and you might explain the nature of any collaboration if that's what the work is highlighting. Be sure to give enough information so that reviewers understand what the session's about. We invite you to reflect on how the session contributes to the work of Imagining America or the gathering's focus on providing passage. One way to do this is to visit the Imagining America's mission, vision, and values, so you can or uplift the connecting work that Imagining America does to those other projects in our network, or focus specifically on the theme of providing passage and how the session might deepen participants' understanding of it. And again, if you're submitting in the format of participatory workshop, we'll also ask you to provide a session goals description, which is really just describing what participants will do and any tools, outcomes, or resources that might be shared in the session. And it will help reviewers make selections because they'll know more about how participants will benefit and learn from attending your session. So what happens next? Well, proposals will be accepted through June 30th. And again, you'll submit that through an online form that is available at iagathering.org. Once those submissions have all been received, in July, they'll be reviewed by members of the 2025 IA National Gathering Steering Committee, which is composed of IA staff, members of Imagining America's National Board, as well as a wonderfully diverse group of folks from the Paso del Norte region. In mid-July, you will then receive a notification from us about the status of your proposal, whether it's been accepted or not. And then all attendees, including presenters, must register for the IA National Gathering, and that will open in mid-June. If you're accepted, we would ask you to submit that final information in case you wanted to make any changes, confirm all your co-presenters, and then communicate any technology or space needs by early August. And then the IA National Gathering program, our travel and lodging details, and a frequently asked questions will be updated on the iagathering.org website as more information becomes available. And the last step is to attend. So join us at the IA National Gathering October 3rd through the 5th in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And please know that everyone is welcome to attend, whether you're presenting or not. It's actually a really wonderful experience to be able to go and have a full participatory experience without worrying about your own presentation. So please know that it's not exclusive to presenters, but of course this presentation was detailing the process that you might go through if you want to share a proposal. Okay, this is my last slide, and so I'll just say a little bit here about how to get in touch with us, and then we'll stop recording so that we can hear any questions that you all might have. So just to reiterate, you can learn a lot more about this and everything that's been shared on the IA National Gathering website at iagathering.org. You can also share questions directly with us at gathering@imaginingamerica.org, or if you need to, this is the IA office phone number. And just a final thank you on the record deeply to our collaborators at New Mexico State University, specifically Dr. Cynthia Bejarano, who has been an incredible colleague in organizing our work thus far. So Erin, I would like to ask you to stop recording, please.